How's it going, everyone? Um, I just wanted to talk about some details I didn't talk about before with my suicide attempt, and the fact that um, if you if you know someone that is a friend, or even a family member, or coworker, whoever, um, if you know someone who openly starts to tell you about the fact that they deal with depression, and they've actually been um, thinking about suicide a lot, there's many ways to approach it. Um, with my case, the thing I didn't talk about before a while back in one of my videos is about the fact that when when I had made a I had gone to visit and stay with my father for the summer, and back when I was 14, and I actually had a pretty good time. And I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty cool because I got to spend time with them, and I was feeling better about everything that had happened prior to that, from 6 to 14, of just dealing with my depression and SI and stuff like that. And anyways, what happened was, I was supposed to get picked up um, 2 days from in 2 days while I was at my father's, and it's about a 3-hour drive from where my father lived and where I lived in Florida. And my mother had called and said, I'm not going to be able to pick you up. You're going to have to stay there another week. And I said, that's fine. Now, I was on the phone in the kitchen, and every now and then I'd hear a click, and I knew that was the other line, the other phone being picked up, which was in my father's room. And and at that time, my he had remarried, and my stepmother had picked it up, and I knew that it was one of them that was listening in on the conversation. I kind of picked up after a while because I would hear certain things and whatnot. But I had spoken with my brother, and he would say, "Oh, what did you get for your birthday?" um, and I said, I got a guitar. And I kept hearing the clicking noises. Long story short, my brother had said, "Oh, you should have gotten this," and I said, "It's not about that. I got this, and then I'm perfectly happy," and blah 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 blah. So I said, "Okay, let me talk to mom." And she said, "Okay, I'll see you in a week." As I went to head back to my bedroom at my father's house, I had heard my stepmother, "No worries, we're putting you on a bus tomorrow." Now, Um, I thought that was weird because the only way she would have known about the conversation is if she was listening in on the phone. And from what I gathered, it sounded like she was interpreting the conversation as I was just there to get things, materialistic things, from my father, which was not the case whatsoever. But I'm assuming that's what she took from it and told him, and they both got upset and pissed off, whatever. And the next morning, as I was walking back to the room, I said, "Oh, no worries. My mom's gonna get me in a week." I didn't hear a response. So next morning, I was woken up very early, and uh, my stepmother said, "Get your stuff together. Let's go." And I'm like, "But I can stay." She's like, "No, you can't." And I was very confused, so I grabbed all my stuff, and she dropped me off at the bus station we went to the bus station. She grabbed me a ticket and said, just to let you know, you and your siblings are dead to your father and I. Have a nice life. And I just stood there in shock. And me having a social anxiety disorder, I had never taken a bus before to travel, and I had no idea what to do. So I actually had missed my trip back to the 3-hour distance that I lived at the time, which was Sarasota. So I finally got the courage to talk to somebody at the front. I mean, I know most men think, like, why don't you just ask somebody else or ask an adult or something like that? Like, because I was petrified, because I was so bad with my social anxiety disorder, and so I finally got over that and asked somebody, oh, this is my thing, I'm supposed to go here, and they're like, oh, you missed it, you're gonna have to wait for the next one. Long story short, a 3-hour trip. I should have been on a bus that took me 3 hours to get home. I didn't get home for like 12 hours because I waited so long because I was just a scared 14-year-old kid. And by the time I got back home, it was on 4th of July, and I remember my mother waiting for me at the bus station, and she had like called the cops because I never made it 9 hours earlier, and I finally made the trip. I finally made it back, and I just sunk into. I told her what happened, and I just got so depressed because I just felt, it was so bad. I don't understand what happened, and it made no sense to me. And it wasn't until later that when I thought about it, I'm like, okay, it came across like this when it wasn't the case at all. I wasn't there to get anything from my father. My father got me my first guitar, and that's when I started teaching myself. And my brother had said something like, "Oh, you should have gotten a PlayStation or 60." I don't remember whatever system, and I said, no, like, it's not, blah, blah. And I know that's what she listened in on, and then riled up my father to where it got him so upset or mad or whatever that he felt that I was just there to get things or use them, which was never the case. But anyway, so when I got back to Sarasota, I got so depressed, and everything just amplified, and I thought for a couple days about drinking bleach, which is a horrible way to go out. And I decided not to do that, and I just kept thinking about, I'll just, hang myself. And I was trying, my friend at the time, who since then, last I heard was he got it heavy into drugs, and I have no idea what happened to him, but he was over the same day, and I wasn't like angry, saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill myself, I'm gonna kill him." I was just talking to him like I had before. But due to his religious family and surroundings at home, I guess he was just angry, and he pretty much just attacked me with saying, "I'm sick of it. You're always talking about how depressed you are, and like, you keep telling me about you think you want to kill yourself, and you do it. You don't have the balls to do it. You don't have the ball." Like, literally, he kept pushing me to where I thought, okay, I don't even have my friend anymore. And I understand why he's treating me like this. It crushed everything for me, and I just said, okay, I guess it's time. But he kept pushing and pushing to where the fact that he was in the room in the garage when I did it, and just stood there. And he's the one that was so shocked that I actually did it that he's the one who ran to get my family. And the last thing I remember after the cop showing up is when I was in the cop car in the back when I was Baker acted. was looking out the back and seeing him stand there watching me drive away. It was very like cinematic. It was very cliche kind of, but my point is, if you know somebody, it's all about perspective and how well you know them. If you know anybody who talks to you openly about, I've been having issues and I'm just been really depressed, and I've been thinking about hurting myself or even suicide, take it seriously. If you know them well enough to where they've been talking to you for a while, um, if you're not comfortable with even trying to talk to them about why you shouldn't, etc. Talk to one of their family members, or talk to a teacher, or you know, there's help out there. You're not qualified at whatever age you are. If you feel you're not qualified to where you can at least help a little bit, um, you know, talk to somebody. If you really, if you seriously think that they're going to do something, hurt themselves, please let somebody know. Um, Another friend, a family member, one of their friends, whoever, a teacher, whatever it is. Um, don't take it lightly as, oh, they're just mad at this or that. If you know they have a history where there's nothing like that, and they joke around, like I've said before, where I had a friend who had everything, and he didn't battle depression or anything. He was just mad at his family, so he's like, oh, I'm just gonna kill myself and teach him a lesson because they won't let me stay out past midnight. That's when I laughed and went off on my friend, but not in a way of trying to say like, oh, you don't have the balls, do it, prove it to me, blah blah blah. I said, this is ridiculous. You shouldn't joke around something like that, because I did um, attempt suicide. I'd say I committed it, but I'd be dead. But my neck didn't break. But and he was like, I'm sorry, and this and that. I'm just angry and stuff like that, whatever. But there's people out there that, for example, for over a year, um, a little while back, I had met a friend, and he was battling with depression, and I talked to him almost every day, and there was nothing I could do, and it got so bad to where he started cutting himself really, really bad, and um, when I tried to talk to him again and call him, his family told me that they had institutionalized him because he attempted to kill himself, and I would call there, and he'd call me from the hospital, from the program that he was in, and I still talk, and it wasn't he wasn't making any progress, and so I'm pretty sure he ended up staying there. I don't know if he's still there, due to moving around so much, and his family situation. I couldn't get a hold of him anymore. I was taken off the list because um, he was tired of me trying to be there for him, which is fine. Some people want to deal with something by themselves, but I was just trying to be there for him because I knew what it was like. Um, and hopefully he's still alive to this day. I don't know. I've tried to look him up and stuff like that, but I have had no luck. But my point is, don't sit there and push somebody to where, if you really know that they've been battling something, regardless of what's happening in your life, you can either be there for them as a friend or don't. But don't take it as a, don't push them to say, okay, you don't have the balls, oh, you're not going to do it, you're not going to do it. Do it then. Do it. Don't do that. That's not being a friend. If they're seriously going through the pain they are, and just because you don't understand doesn't mean that they're not serious. So there's many ways to think of it, look at it. If you believe that they've been talking that way for a while, and you see cuts or notice things, talk to them. If you feel that you can't get through to them, or it's really serious, talk to a family member, their family members, or yours, or a teacher. Let somebody know what's going on, because a lot of people that commit suicide don't leave suicide notes. And a lot of times people didn't know that they were upset. And especially nowadays with social media and shit, they'll leave it online because they were bullied after one day, or they were being bullied at school, or they were tired of this and no one was reading it, or they didn't see the sign. So if you think or see some sort of sign where there's something up, just try to be a friend and be there for them. If you're not comfortable where you're like, I'm not qualified to help them, just talk to them after talking to one of their family members or one of their friends or a teacher. If they have a bad situation at home, talk to a teacher or talk to somebody they know that's outside of work. I mean, outside of school or even work, or if they don't have it, like, there's somebody always out there. You can call people. Um, they can try to get them the help they need, because some people won't talk about it. Some people, sadly, just do it, and 9 times out of 10, there's usually not a suicide note. So I know I'm ranting, but just try to look at it from different point of views. If you start noticing anything with a family member or friend or coworker or something, if you know something's up, and if they especially confide in you and trust you, where they start talking about, this is how I feel, just be there for them and listen. And if you're really concerned, and you know that they're not getting help, or they're getting worse or anything like that, get help for them, or try to encourage them to get help, because every life is worth it, um, regardless of what situation they may be stuck in. There's always someone that cares about you and them. And if you're battling depression, confide in somebody. And if you're having suicidal thoughts, where, I mean, it really seriously, like, I don't want to be here anymore, talk to somebody. If you're not comfortable talking to a family member, talk to a friend. If you're not comfortable talking to a friend, talk to a family member. If you're not comfortable talking to either, there are hotlines, there's suicide hotlines out there. There's always someone there that'll care about you. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me a PM or leave them in the comments. But just remember that every life is valued, and there's always help. So if you know somebody that's going through it, just try to be there for them. If you don't want to deal with it, please let somebody know. I'll talk to you guys later, and I hope you're all doing well.